The house, as you said, belongs to Annie Guthrie and her husband, but it has been empty for the last several days with only security guards parked outside, and they remain here tonight.
Authorities are now searching around Annie Guthrie's house. Annie Guthrie is Nancy's daughter, Savannah's sister. They are searching the brush around her house. They're questioning neighbors nearby. It seems like they're honing in on a subject. It seems like they're honing in on a potential suspect or possibly someone that's connected to Annie or Tomas.
The suspicious silence, what Annie Guthrie and her husband aren't telling us. One sibling has made video after video, raw and unscripted, begging for her mother's safe return. Another sibling, a retired military pilot who clearly hates being on camera, pushed through his discomfort to record a public plea.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you.
But there's one family member who hasn't said a single word, not one video, not one statement. And her husband, the last known person to see Nancy alive? Complete silence. When I started digging into why, I stumbled onto a financial discovery that changes everything about how you might view this case. Now let me be upfront about something. I never wanted to go down this road. Annie Guthrie is Nancy's own daughter, her own flesh and blood, and none of us want to entertain the darkest possibilities when it comes to family. That's the kind of thing we leave to the professionals, the detectives working behind the scenes. But something shifted for me recently, and I need to walk you through exactly what triggered it, because once you see the pattern I'm about to lay out, you won't be able to unsee it. It started when Savannah Guthrie posted yet another video appeal. On the surface, it's a heartbreaking message. A woman trying to reach the humanity of whoever is responsible for her mother's disappearance. But while I was watching, my mind started drifting, not to what was being said, but to what was missing. And that's when everything clicked.
So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement.
Let me take you through the timeline of these family videos because the progression tells a story all on its own. On February 4th, we got the very first video. All the siblings are gathered together, and Savannah is front and center doing most of the talking, which makes total sense given her background. And there's Annie, standing among them in a white shirt and oversized glasses, looking somber. Fine, nothing unusual there.
We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. Please reach out to us.
Then on February 5th, something unexpected happens. Cameron, who's a retired U.S. Air National Guard pilot, posts his own solo video. Now you can tell immediately that this man is not comfortable in front of a camera. He's a bit stiff, he's reading from notes, and yet he was compelled to do it anyway. He felt strongly enough to push past his own nature and speak on behalf of his family. That says something about character.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
Fast forward to February 7th, and we get a second group video. The siblings are holding hands, Savannah is centered again, and the tone has shifted noticeably darker, more somber, more desperate. Personally, when I watched that one, I got the strong sense that they still had no proof of life at that point, and this was already a full week since Nancy vanished.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Then on February 9th, Savannah goes solo again, delivering what she described as a message from an hour of desperation.
We believe our mom is still out there. Somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers, and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
The following day, she shared personal photos and home videos of Nancy, making the whole tragedy feel devastatingly real and human for everyone watching. And then on February 15th, Savannah posted what might be the most gut-wrenching video yet. No makeup, no script, just raw, unfiltered emotion from a woman who has clearly reached her breaking point, pleading with whoever took her mother to just do the right thing. That final video hit me hard.
It's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken, and I just wanted to come on and say that we still have hope. It's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. And we believe. And we believe in the essential goodness of every human being.
But here's the thing. It didn't hit me the way you'd expect. It hit me because of what was absent. Where is Annie Guthrie in all of this? This is the poet of the family, the writer, the person whose entire professional identity revolves around finding the right words to move people on a deep, human level. If anyone in that family should be crafting the perfect emotional appeal to reach her mother's captors, it's Annie. And yet after 2 full weeks, nothing. Not a single solo video, not a written statement, nothing. Is she still working on the perfect plea? After 14 days? And what about her husband, Tomaso? This is the man who, by all accounts, is the last person to have seen Nancy alive. Wouldn't it be enormously helpful for him to come forward, even briefly, and walk through what happened during that 4-mile drive back to Nancy's house? There are basic questions that only this couple can answer. Did they actually play mahjong that night? Who was the 4th player? What did they eat for dinner? Was their son present? These aren't invasive questions. They're the kind of straightforward details that could help paint a clearer picture of Nancy's final known hours. And instead, from both Annie and Tomaso, we get absolute radio silence. Now, the most logical explanation I can come up with, and honestly the only one that makes sense, is that they've retained legal counsel and have been advised not to speak publicly. And look, from a purely strategic standpoint, that's a smart move. When you're the last people to see a missing person alive, you protect yourself legally. That's just common sense. But here's the reality of public perception. It looks suspicious. It just does. And whether we like it or not, public opinion matters in cases like this. Tomaso was almost certainly the primary person of interest from the very beginning. Nobody in an official capacity is going to confirm that for us right now, so all we're working with at this stage is observation and critical thinking. But here's where this video takes a turn that I don't think anyone is talking about yet. Let's look at Annie and Tomaso's major financial move in 2025 because the numbers tell a very interesting story. From what's publicly available, Annie Guthrie describes herself as a creative professional based in Tucson, Arizona. And I'll be honest, whenever I hear these modern reimagined job titles, it reminds me of when fast food workers became sandwich artists and delivery drivers became logistics specialists. Those titles exist to sound impressive. When I worked at McDonald's back in the day, I told people I flipped burgers. I wasn't a protein preparation technician. So when I see creative professional, what that actually encompasses is writer, poet, and educator. Pretty vague. Under that umbrella, her primary income appears to come from handcrafted, commission-based jewelry, which means her earnings almost certainly fluctuate wildly from month to month. She also works with a nonprofit, the University of Arizona Poetry Center, and because nonprofit filings are public record, people have already uncovered that her listed compensation ranges from $0 to $28,000. That is an enormous gap. Now let's look at Tomaso. He's a 6th grade teacher specializing in science and AP biology, which honestly, AP biology for 6th graders? That's impressive, but I digress. The median salary for elementary school teachers in his area sits around $50,000, with the high end reaching about $65,000. And because I want to be more than fair throughout this entire analysis, we're going to give Tomaso the high-end figure. He's also part of a band, though if you check their social media, they haven't had any tour dates since 2017, so that's almost certainly a hobby at this point, not a revenue stream. If anything, between equipment costs and time invested, it's probably a net loss. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be extremely generous with every single number. We'll bump Tomaso's salary to a clean $70,000, and then we'll assume Annie matches that, bringing their combined household income to $140,000. Let's round that up to $150,000 just to keep the math simple and give them every possible benefit of the doubt. And honestly, with only 2 reviews on her poetry book on Amazon, the chances of Annie actually earning $70,000 a year seem slim. But we're being generous, remember? Now, with that generous income figure established, let's look at their real estate moves. Their previous home, the one they'd been living in since 2016, sold in 2025 for $379,000. They then moved into a new house, and this is the house where Nancy came over for that game night and dinner. This new property, $675,000. So the question becomes very simple. Can a household earning $150,000 a year realistically purchase and maintain a $675,000 home? First, Uncle Sam gets his cut. After federal and state taxes, that $150,000 drops to roughly $110,000 in take-home pay. Now, using standard mortgage calculators, when you punch in the numbers for a home at that price point, the required down payment alone is staggering. We're talking over $200,000. So let me ask you this. Is it completely possible that Annie and Tomaso just had $200,000 sitting in savings, ready to go, based on everything we've just walked through about their income? I think you already know the answer. And if you're thinking what I think you're thinking, a very wealthy sister named Savannah comes to mind. She genuinely seems like a generous, loving person, the type who would happily help her sister and brother-in-law get into a nicer home, especially if the goal was to have Annie closer to Nancy, since Annie is believed to be Nancy's designated primary caretaker. What's $200,000 to someone at Savannah's level of success? But here's where it gets tricky. The expenses don't stop at the down payment. Property tax in Pima County on a $675,000 home runs approximately $5,500 per year. A larger, more expensive house automatically means higher homeowners' insurance premiums, and those have been climbing at 7 to 10% annually. Utility bills scale up with square footage, and this house is estimated to be at least 30 years old, based on the age range of homes in that zip code, which means maintenance and repair costs are going to be significant and unpredictable. We haven't even touched on everyday life yet. Groceries, transportation, the lifestyle and small luxuries they're accustomed to, and critically, they have a young son, which brings an entirely separate category of expenses. When you stack all of this against Tomaso's teacher salary as the only reliable, verifiable income in the household, the picture becomes very uncomfortable. If Annie's creative ventures bring in anything less than what Tomaso earns, and all available evidence suggests they bring in considerably less, then this family isn't just living paycheck to paycheck, they're potentially living credit card to credit card. And that kind of financial pressure creates a situation that desperately needs a sudden injection of money. I'm not drawing any final conclusions here. I'm laying out publicly available information and letting the math speak for itself. But when you combine the financial strain with the complete public silence from the 2 people closest to Nancy's last known moments, it paints a picture that's very difficult to ignore. Go protect your loved ones, help them make sound decisions, and never take for granted the people who would do anything to keep you safe. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.